Exclamation plateau.
Belle Isle is a 54-acre island in the James River near Richmond, Virginia, so it's in the Piedmont region. Looking at it now, it's hard to imagine that it was once the site of a huge, noisy factory and a prison war camp. William Byrd, the founder of Richmond, wrote in 1737 that it was a great place to get away from the world. But 200 years later, an article in 1957 said that this was definitely not a place you'd want to go to get away from the world, with all the factories and machinery making noise. Well, now as you can see, Belle Isle is back to being a quiet place. Come on and explore the island and its history with the Virginia Trekkers.
Hey boys and girls, David here from Virginia Trekkers. I'm here at Belle Isle in the Quarry. This is where they dug out granite, and they used the granite to make, I'll let Alfonso tell you. Here he comes. You need some help, buddy? Hang on tight, because it's a big drop.
Hey boys and girls, Mr. Ref here. We're having a blast. I know Mr. Club talked about the quarry, but listen, we're going to take you on a trip.
I don't think I can hang on much longer, Alfonso.
Me neither. Oh!
Hey boys and girls, this is Mr. Fernald here. We're going to take you on many exciting treks throughout the Piedmont region today, and we're going to make sure our buddies are okay first. And I got a friend who's going to tell you where we're going. Hey boys and girls, this is Frank Fitzpatrick. Man, I hope those guys are alright. We're going to take you around to Belle Isle and show you what it used to be used for as a Civil War prison. We're going to show you what it's used for now. Hope you enjoy the trip. Yo, you guys okay?
Hey, alright?
Whoa! Oh man!
That was awesome! What the heck of a ball! Good job!
Alright. Glad you're alright, Alfonso.
We're fine!
Boys and girls, go try this yourself.
Not a good idea.
Actually, trained rock climbers like Frank here can scale the walls of the quarry safely, and they often do for fun. Next, we're heading on over to the southwest side of the island to show you the ruins of the hydroelectric plant.
Part of Belle Isle's history is it was an industrial part of Richmond. This grate cleaner right behind me cleaned the dam before the water made it into the hydroelectric plant that powered part of Richmond. The teeth right behind it, on the bottom of it, it's hard to see, but the teeth would fit inside the dam and pull big, huge trees, rocks, and everything else that would block the water from getting into the hydroelectric plant. We'll show you the dam in just a second.
Let's zoom in on those teeth that Frank was talking about.
Right behind me is the old hydroelectric plant. The water in the James used to power this plant. You saw the dam cleaner? That cleaned the water that came through this power plant. The power plant had 3 generators, and it ran in the early 1900s. And it used to, the power generated here used to power the Richmond trolley system so we could travel around the city.
Next stop, the iron foundry, which operated during most of the 1800s.
Brad, tell us a little bit about the scrap iron that they had.
What would happen was when they had scrap iron that was brought over here from England, black slaves were provided most of the labor, and mules brought the scrap iron right through here. What happened was this scrap iron was used, this milling factory was powered by hydropower, and what happened was this scrap iron was made into nails, horseshoes, and other things used out of metal.
As you can see, this is a very important place, and it served a very important function for Richmond. So, we better get the mules in and get the scrap iron going.
Next, we journey to the east side of the island, which was the site of a Civil War prison camp.
Boys and girls, this was a place of much suffering during the Civil War.
50,000 captured Northern soldiers traveled to this 6-acre site of this open-air prison.
Open-air prison means this prison didn't look like modern prisons do. The soldiers that were housed here were in the open, exposed to the weather and all of the elements. And the bump that we're sitting on right now is part of the original earthworks. They would build up this area right here to help keep the soldiers and prisoners in.
Well, many of you might be asking, well, why didn't they just escape? Well, the answer to that's pretty simple. During the Civil War, at the time of this prison camp, the captured soldiers were so tired and they were dying of starvation and disease that they were too weak to rebel against the South.
While they started out with enough tents for everyone, as more and more prisoners came onto the island, almost 10,000 at one point, they quickly ran out of room. The prisoners often went without basic human needs such as food, clothing, shelter, and sanitation, so many of them died. This picture from Harper's Weekly depicted the suffering of the soldiers, and this is an actual photo of one of the Belle Isle prisoners taken after his release. As you can imagine, in such a weakened state, it was almost impossible for them to cross the rapids of the James River. Plus, in those days, many people did not know how to swim. So they were stuck on the island until they were either released or died. Across from the river, from Belle Isle, is Hollywood Cemetery, where many Civil War soldiers were buried. Next, we're going to journey to Hollywood Rapids, which was named after Hollywood Cemetery across the river.
Hey, Pete! Here we are at Hollywood Rapids! Brad's the professional. He knows a lot of facts about it.
All right, here we are at the fall line. This is the border between the coastal plain and the Piedmont region. As you can tell, there's lots of rapids around here. That made it impossible for boats to be able to travel any further. Thus, Richmond was settled.
Boys and girls, we're going to be talking about Hollywood Cemetery in just a little bit. If you look in the distance, it's a great shot of Hollywood Cemetery.
And y'all, just because it's called Hollywood doesn't mean it's really Hollywood. It's a different Hollywood, folks.
Hollywood Rapids is a great place to kayak and whitewater raft.
Why?
Look at the whitewater.
How do you know?
I've done it. It's a lot of fun. Only do it with an adult or a trained rafting guide.
And everybody, Frank is a trained rafting guide.
Richmond is one of the few places in the world that has urban whitewater. During the year, throughout the year, Richmond has a Class 4 rapid. Higher water, rapids are even more tricky and more dangerous.
I'm David.
I'm Alfonso.
I'm Brad.
I'm Frank. And we're Virginia Trekkers. And we've had a great time here at Belle Isle. Now it's time to move on. But first, a question for the boys and girls. Look behind us. Do you know what kind of rock that is? Is it A, sedimentary, B, metamorphic, or C, igneous?
The answer will be at the end of this video.
Rock on.
See?
Belle Isle rocks.
Yeah.
The rock in the quarry is granite rock, which is an igneous rock. It is usually used in making buildings, such as this building from Virginia Union University, and also monuments, such as the pyramid at Hollywood Cemetery, which we'll show you in our next podcast.